All right, so I don't know if this is up yet, but I'm going to wait here for a couple of seconds and we'll go ahead and go live. Hello. If you are a business owner using AI, but wondering how to do it safely, practically, how to keep up, you're in the right place. And so this video and this live, the reason why I wanted to do it, it's top of the year. It's for solopreneurs, small business owners who are, have less than 100 employees. That's kind of my sweet spot from my experience over the last, 10, 15 years of business. But also, if you're already using AI, and I would say generative AI, so thinking of your chat GPTs or your Geminis and Claudes and the nano bananas and all these Opus Clips and all these videos or all these AIs. But more importantly, if you care about data, IP, intellectual property, and most importantly these days is trust. Not only with clients, but also with the vendors or the freelancers that you use, or the people or the other businesses you want to collaborate with. And you're not here for the AI hype cycle or the AI is going to replace everything. This is for you. And so just to give you a little context for me, I've over the last, I won't give you the full, I'll save the full background for another video. But for this video, I wanted to, if I'm live, we're already a couple minutes into this, but wanting to ground you in I've climbed the career ladder in corporate. I've done the multiple industries from being a yoga teacher to talking to employees about mental health in places like Australia and the UK and the EU and the United States, and helping companies to with their company culture. And so coming kind of full circle in this next big thing that's impacting employees and companies and industries and governments and countries. I've shifted, but it's still the same focus, and it's helping humans within this whole realm that we're living. And so recently completed Blue Dot's AGI strategy course. You can look at training. You can look at that, and that was more big picture. Actually looking at enterprise and country level, not only what could happen in the future or the potential of happening with AGI, so general intelligence. So, and it's helped me to have a broader picture, but also realize even more that a lot of things that are being focused on, from policies to laws to regulations, are really focusing on the bigger businesses. And yes, there are some, like the EU AI Act has some carve outs and specifics about small businesses. And I think they're starting to be the trend to catch on. However, it's still the solopreneurs and the small businesses that drive every economy. And while these companies that are creating the tech, and it's been this way for decades, companies create the tech at such a fast speed, policy makers can't keep up. So the responsibility comes on us as small business owners, or small and medium enterprises or solopreneurs, to protect ourselves while we're still trying to grow our business. And so that's the gap that I'm seeing, and why I want to do videos like this about not only the tools, but policies are in place or ways that you can advocate for yourself locally, or come together in whatever fashion in your local community to talk about, to increase your literacy, but to also how to incorporate it in your business. So when I think about it, most businesses don't need more AI, more, especially general AI, because there's other forms of AI which we'll get into. But in thinking about, you just need safer, clearer ways on how to use it, use what you already have, how to maximize what you already have, especially if you're looking at cash flow issues, making sure you're using everything that you have to its maximum, but also being safe about it. And so when it comes to devices, and I'll get to, here, I was gifted this device, this Plod AI. It's actually really tiny. It's almost not too big, much bigger than the size of a credit card. But before I use it, and actually today was the day I unboxed it, I'm going to go through just a quick and a short review on how I should be using it, and how, when not, and it's through studying things like, I'll use acronyms, but like NIST, it's like these standards, whether it's the EU AI Act or ISO. There's these regulations, but again, these regulations they say they're useful for everybody, but they tend to be designed for the larger companies and the companies with resources. So one of the things I've been talking to, and small business owners over the last several weeks around how can they do it, but you don't have time. So one of the things I've done is help to create some more streamlined versions of things to help, and I'll get into that. But here's a real example. So Plod AI, this company, it's voice, but it's process in the cloud. So as I'm looking through, and I'll just walk you through, and I'll hold this up again. It's kind of really tiny. So as I'm looking through this, thinking in terms of kind of like a traffic light, or just red stop, yellow caution, green go. Some things to look out. So when I'm thinking through this, I'm like, okay, so in many countries, and definitely in the United States, it's illegal to record someone without them knowing about it. So there's some consent. So don't use this secretly or any things like this. Even with, as I think about this, it's like all these AI note takers that are joining Zoom meetings and whatnot, the consent really isn't there. It's kind of like, well, you just got to consent to it or not. So with this, if it's going to record a meeting or an interaction, I want to make sure I have consent. If I don't, and I ask up front, like, I'm recording this session to help me be more present. Maybe I just, or from an accessibility standpoint, it's a lot easier for me to record and have that versus being able to type, or if I have, say, carpal tunnel or some other things that are going on that I can't type it. But you have to inform the other person. So the other thing, because of the data being processed up in the cloud, you have to think about, it's called PII, personal or private, personal information kind of thing. So when you think of credit card numbers, or when you think of medical diagnoses, or trade secrets of your company that are spoken aloud, once it's audio, once it's in the cloud, you really have zero control over what happens to it. You can ask for things to be deleted and whatnot, but as we've seen, there's been probably more breaches of systems, especially enterprise systems, over the last decade than even before, because tech advances, so do scammers. And so you're thinking like this yellow caution, use it, but if I use it, make sure that I'm the final verdict on what it says. So if there's a meeting, I have a meeting with a client, and I'm gonna sit this down for a minute, but if I have a meeting with a client, or if I have a meeting with a partner or potential client or potential partner, whatever, and we're discussing things, and setting up next steps, making sure that, yes, I get the transcript, yes, I get the summary, but I need to read it and make sure that, especially if there's action steps, applied to somebody, one or the other person, or if there's a quote that's attributed to someone that actually didn't say it, like they call it like human in the loop or whatever, but it's, to me, it's not giving over control to the system, and quite frankly, not being lazy about it. Like, especially if you're a business owner or you're meeting, it's your business. So, the AI messed up is never an excuse. To me, it's never an excuse, especially for like hypercritical things. And, so with the green light, this one's easy. So if I'm wanting to draft, ideas, or wanting to draft an email that, again, back to doesn't contain the information and whatnot, it's saying, cool, I can do it. I'll do it. And just for transparency, I'll test this. I may test this with ideas about running a marathon and my fitness, wanting to do a triathlon or wanting to get back into throwing discus. I'll test it with that to see how it works, because I can have an hour-long meeting talking about wanting to get back into discus and reliving my glory days in like high school and college and teaching and whatnot. So that information, if that information gets stolen, fine. Or if it gets messed up, if there's the quote-unquote hallucination, get the word out, hallucination, it's not that big of an issue versus if it was a client issue, a client project and whatnot. So green light this whole process. And again, thinking in terms of, the other side of it is if so that's kind of the big picture, but then you get down to more, we're humans, and so we're in society, right? And we have, values, and some people's values are different than others, and some cultures are different than others. And in saying, when we're thinking about this, having it, if you're going to use it, have it out on the table. Back to this whole trust factor, being transparent. Yes, there's the legal side of it and the regulation side about, being able to record a meeting or a conversation. But then there's just the practical, damn, if you're going to record me, at least let me know. At least give me the opt-out, right? Like, if you're going to use that, let me know. Have it on the table. Full disclosure on the record. If you're a journalist, and those folks have kind of those standards. But anyway, if you are going to use it, then yes, have it, but also make sure you make note, like some handwritten notes if you can, or some other kind of notes, just as a backup, because again, technology fails too. So as you're thinking about this, is after you go through that process, so even in this is the last less than 10 minutes, right? So less than 10 minutes, I've walked through how and if and when I'm going to use this device. And so now when I do add it, I'll add it to my my inventory of AI technology, as well as other technologies that I use. And even as a small business owner, as a solopreneur, you should be doing that. One, for cash flow, so you know where your money's going for these subscriptions, because even with free, you're paying for something, and it's the data. And even when I pay, so it's your data plus your cash flow out. So you're thinking from the business operations side of things too. But as you're thinking about this, it's opting out. So there's different settings you can have on this, on the Plod. I haven't checked into all the settings, but I know there's some settings where I can opt out of data use and whatnot on similar devices. So looking at that, and at first when you do this with all of your AI tools that you're using, it may be slightly overwhelming, but it's really not. You can, once you do it once, then it's just addition and subtraction, and then maybe a monthly or a quarterly check-in to see how things are going. Because this technology is moving so fast, and then policy is catching up. But again, it's not able to be on top of everything. And it's generally designed for countries and enterprises. So small business owners, small solopreneurs, we usually get the last end of the stick. When you think about it, just as we've businesses transitioned over the years, focusing on non-tech before, thinking about back to the fax machine. If you remember those, I'm 50, so fax machine was a big deal. It's still kind of wild how it works. But anyway, fax machine transitioned to email. And now these generative AI tools and, the other non-generative AI tools, and thinking, so responsible AI, so the use it's a leadership skill. That's it. It's not it's technical to a certain extent, but truly it's like a leadership skill, because you're managing the humans and you're setting the tone and the strategy and the culture for the humans in your organization and the humans that you interact with at other organizations, whether it's trust and whatnot. And yes, there's a camp that said eventually there's going to be a bunch of agents talking to each other and doing all the business, but we're not there. We're not close. Or we may be close on some level, but truly for most business owners, it's to be more efficient with their business, so then they can actually go have a life and quality time with friends and family and whatnot. And so as I've been having these conversations, it's overwhelming for a lot of business owners, and so that's why I've created things like this. It's 6 pages, including the example of the Plod. You can do it yourself. Takes about an hour, depending on how much you have. And so links are in the description below. But You can do it yourself, walk it through, and I'll have a video uploaded for that as well. So again, you can do it on your own time. If you're wanting to like actually just have somebody hold your hand, starting next Wednesday the 21st, kicking off a 5-day. It's not a challenge because we all got way too many challenges going on, like from society, relationships, and work. This is just a quick reset to get things in order with your responsible kind of AI plan and seeing what's being used, what's not. Over 5 days, 15, 20 minutes a day. You can always dive deeper. Links are in the description below. But really, I want to know from you as you're watching this or whenever you're watching this, you're a solopreneur, you're a business owner, small business owner, you have employees, freelancers, vendors. How are you using AI, AI in your business? Is it machine learning AI? Is it generative AI, like some of the tools that are well known and have great marketing budgets? Whether it's Mistral or Claude or DeepSeek, and like with all those, like truly like thinking like what part of it feels like unclear to you or overwhelming to the point of like, I don't want to mess with it. I got too much on my plate. I got to get this client invoice paid, or have them get pay me because they're already 60 days late. And then actually, the last thing is like, what would make you, thinking in terms of what would make you feel, AI feel more useful to you without feeling overwhelming. And take the time to respond in the chat. So this is my first live, and I hope everything's recording because lessons learned. Like I don't have a YouTube window open over here, but I want to do lives because it's sharing my like real-time thoughts. Like right now, like I shared it, but one of my real-time thoughts is solopreneurs, small business owners, freelancers, whatever you want to fall under that. You run a business, you provide a service, you may have an internal team, you may have an external team. We're on really the short end of the stick when it comes to AI, the infrastructure support from policymakers and whatnot. And so it's on us to like help each other, but also help ourselves when it comes to resilience, especially when not to use it, when you don't want to use it. And I'll get to that in another video, but a quick tip is schedule days when you don't deal with tech in your company. Have a creative day, draw, write, whatever. But back to the point of this is that a simple process to be able to follow is repeatable, tweak it to make it to your company. But I'm going to close. I'm going to thank you for being a part of my live. We're coming up right about 20 minutes of this live. If you're still with me, type kangaroo in the comments. I love these things. Like that's the first animal that came to mind because I was thinking about Australia. So type kangaroo in the chat, and yeah, your questions, your comments helped me to create more things, and so more content that's specific to you. So if you're having an issue or a challenge that you think the question would be helpful to you, but also your peers, happy to answer anywhere when it comes to this whole kind of intersection of use of AI in business, the impact on employees, the impact on the business, the impact on trust within an organization, the short term, but also thinking of the long term if policy continues to lag when it comes to these AI companies. So follow, connect, check out the links in the description. Love to work with some of y'all, but in the meantime, this is where I'm going to be dropping a lot of free knowledge and tips and tricks and things to try. And that's it. I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. All right. Take care. Much love.